Good morning. Hello. I see YouTube is still kind of screwing up. Hold on a minute. Oh, gotta love it. Gotta love it. So, good morning. It's Monday, July. I almost said June. July 10th. It's hot everywhere because it's July. No, it's global warming. No, it's July. All right. Anyways, I hope all is well. We are This won't be a long live feed because I have to take my pickup to the shop. Seems like two of our cars have recently they're trying to take dumps on everything. So it's neither here or there. You guys don't care about that. You guys don't care about my problems, do you? And I might have to get a new chair. My chair is, when you're fat, chairs don't like to be sat on all day. I try to get up and moving. Usually I get on the phone with somebody and I'm like, um, I'll walk around the backyard. I'll get my steps in or whatever. But let's fix a few things on the tubes, and then we will get to it. We'll get to comments. You know the routine. We'll get to comments, then we'll talk about spot stuff and here. Let's do that. Save on that, and then go to here. This will help keep the trolls out. There you go. Save. All right. It is Monday. I hope you guys had a good weekend. Did you guys have a good weekend? The leftover fireworks that you might have bought. Did you set them off? Were you in the truck running? I know a lot of our drivers were running. Like trucking's been pretty busy. We've got like 3 new contractors starting here within the next week or so. So that's pretty good stuff. One of them you might actually know, but we'll keep that quiet for now. That dude's a very private person, so he probably doesn't want that out there right now. But at any rate, Shannon was live this morning. I saw that she's now monetized. I was sitting there looking at my small channel and the Snorelord OG. And Shannon, if you want to put a link up to that channel, I would greatly appreciate it. It was, I guess I guess now they monetize channels after 500, but you need 2,000 watch hours, or is it 3,000? I can't remember. Anyways, I don't have enough watch hours on that channel, so binge watch all my videos, put it on autoplay, and if everybody did that, I can monetize the other channel because that's how I want to make money. I want to make money as a social media influencer. So I kid. No, do binge watch my videos, but I know that there's other things to do for money besides the YouTube. Might actually, I always say it might actually jump in the truck, but uh so I was driving my pickup around. It's overheating now. It can't even get across town, so I got to figure out what's going on with that. The check engine light's been on a minute. Just like the semi truck. You drive around with the check engine lights and hope for the best. I thought about trading up, but anything that I could afford is got way more miles than what my pickup actually has. So what would be the purpose of that? Other than if I couldn't find, I couldn't find parts for it, but it's a pretty common vehicle, so that shouldn't be a problem. So, anyways, let's go over the comments here, and yeah. WCF Invader, what's up? How's it going? Shannon, good morning. CB from Denver. Not a bad place to be in July, I guess. Unless you're looking for good rates coming out. How about Kansas City lows for Tuesday? We could probably look for that. I'm in Jacksonville, CB. down in sunny Florida. Love the intro, not LOL. That's fine. That does not hurt my feelings. That's the thing. I played in a death metal band, and I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. I didn't have any of these ambitions of becoming a rock star, becoming the next Metallica, and we were good for what we did. I am proud of that. But if death metal's not your thing, then whatever. So it's fine. I get it. David Edwards, hello. What's up? Shannon, will you drop by my house and hug my mama's neck for me? My name is Nobody. Good morning. We'll be calling after live. Okie dokie. Shannon says woot. Good morning, Steve. Vehicle breakdowns are not fun. Cars are diminishing assets. There is a point that it's no longer worth repairing. I agree with some caveats to that. It depends on the situation. So, like, let's say I blow my motor sky high on my pickup truck. How much does a new motor for a 2002 F-150 cost? I guarantee you that it's going to be way cheaper than what a new F-150 costs. So if I blow let's say I blow the motor at, and my 2002's only got 170,000 miles on it. If I blow the motor sky high, or let's say it gets totaled in an accident, that happened with one of our other vehicles. My son had a wreck and it totaled the vehicle. It was a 2002 or 1 Honda CRV. It was a great little vehicle. My mom was the only one that owned it. She bought it after she retired, so that car didn't even have 100,000 miles on it. And and what did we have to do? We had to buy something we could afford, because I didn't want payments, so we just paid cash. And it was something that had 100. It just turned over 200,000 miles, and it was a newer vehicle than the one that we replaced. Now we had no choice, but to replace it. But like, if I blow an engine in this pickup, even if I buy something for $14,000-$15,000, that's going to have a motor with more miles on it. I'm throwing $12,000 on a problem that might cost $3,000 to fix. So we when our little car transmission went out, we looked around. I went to car shops or car dealerships and started looking for another car to replace that. And I realized I was going to be paying $5, $6, $7 for something that wasn't as good. So we paid the $3,000 and got it fixed with a warranty. So Twitch, good morning. JF Trucker, good morning, listening in. I concur. Pickup trucks don't fit the typical replace model. Pickups are stupid expensive. Cars, on the other hand, in many cases, could economically be replaced instead of repaired in extreme cases. Yeah, I mean, look, if the little Ford Fiesta, blows a motor, yeah, we're probably going to replace it, right? But you call those disposable cars. But it still sucks. I hate that minivan. I'm grateful that we have it, but I mean, it was, thanks to the vid, that's what we had our choices of. The four-wheeler market is so screwed up. They're wanting $200,000 for some vehicles. And for what? To go to work and get groceries? I mean, come on now. Does it really make sense to pay $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 for something that you're basically going to go to work in? Oh yeah, you might go camping with your F-250 and use it to pull a camper, but then that's more debt. It's debt is the currency of slaves. There's good debt and there's bad debt. So let me change that, right? There's good debt and bad debt. You know, but CDN says cars are diminishing assets. Well, to me, it's not an asset, it's a liability. Now, a truck is a depreciating asset because it makes you money, quote unquote. But, there is an investment in there. But if the truck doesn't make you any money, then, all you're doing is wearing it out. And so you've taken this $150,000 or $200,000 vehicle now and turn it into a $15,000 vehicle. And what do you got to show for it in the end? Think about that. So anyways, that's enough of that. Enough about my problems. You don't want to hear about Steve's problems with this chair or with this pickup. You want to see what's going on in the world of the spot market freight. Shannon was advertising me this morning with a new subscriber to hers, and I appreciate that. And I think people are getting sick of it because sick of me because my live feed numbers have gone down. And I try not to be repetitive, but you end up saying the same things. Control your costs. Look for the right lanes. Here's how I look for the right lanes, and and then this, that, and the other. So, anyways, let's show the screen up. Let's take care of that because I want to show you guys something. One of the trucking groups, Chad Boblet, mentioned that we might be we may not be hurting as much. And this is the DAT national spot rates. And I know a lot of people disregard these. I look at the trends, right? I look at the trending things. Now, do I take this as gold? Do I take this as the Bible? No. This is just one analytic of a huge, huge, huge industry. This is if you're working 100% spot market and you get the majority of your loads from the DAT board, which most of you do. Now, I do promote the 123 load board. In fact, we'll put the banner up right there. It too also has these kind of analytics. They look different. The numbers are slightly different. So you look at the trends. I don't pay attention to truckstop.com. I have not been impressed with them at all. So, nothing against them personally. I've got 2 low boards and all the freaking apps to do what I need to do for myself or for other drivers. But the trick is I'm trying to create freight that is not on these low boards. Low boards are for backhauls. And if you can get in good with the customer or get in good with the broker that has that customer and you give them exceptional service where you don't have to be on the low boards, then you're good to go. Excuse me, I forgot to mute the microphone. Now, if, like, for example, somebody in this chat, he had some steady freight, didn't need the low board, didn't need me. I was very sad, but he didn't need me anymore. But he still kept his 123 low board, and he needed me and the low board on occasion. There's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of what I tried to do for my own. Look, if I was running my own truck, I'd be doing exactly everything that I tell you guys all to do. So, but here I am trying to help build a carrier and help build a dispatch service, and they both have their challenges. And so, I've got paid off equipment. I've got a chance to kind of give that some time, and if not, we'll figure it out, right? But as you can see, van rates are up a little bit on this chart here. And look at flatbed. flatbed's on a downward trend now. What's interesting about that is that usually, this is something that you have to take note. Notice I haven't talked about these numbers at all. I do not care about any of these numbers. What I do care is the incline or the decline, right? Look at flatbed. There's a lot of people that jumped into flatbed because of the low van rates. Understandably so, right? Especially if you got flatbed experience. However, there's been this influx of everybody else doing the same thing. It is the gold rush to do now. And it's affecting the flatbed market. And here's one of the things you got to think about. There was a picture on Facebook where this guy had straps, not chains, brand new bright yellow straps on a coil. And this picture was taken at a truck stop. So somebody left a shipper with that, with that, right? You have a lot of inexperienced people coming into the flatbed market that don't know what they're doing, hoping that they'll make their minimum $2 a mile or whatever it may be. And what they're doing is driving down demand for trucks. And if they don't know how to strap anything down, the insurance goes up, everybody insurance goes up. Next thing you know, your insurance company's like, "Oh, you're a flatbed hauler." Yeah, we're tacking on an extra $5,000 during your renewal this year. And so the thing that I see with that is that it's spring, summertime. Construction should be going through the roof. Materials should be going through the roof to move. Now, they might be, but they're not on the DAT board because these algorithms are just for the DAT board. Okay. FreightWaves sonar goes off of so many different bits of information. This is one bit of information, but I noticed that downward trend. So if I'm looking at this, I'm like, and let's say I'm a new authority. I'm thinking about, well, I've got experience with all. Am I going to do reefer? Am I going to do flatbed? Or am I going to do van? This is something you have to. That's something you have to consider. Okay, you're going to think, okay, how's the best way I can maximize my money? Well, if I only have experience in van and I look at those rates, okay, so I have to be able to survive off of what that is. But I have more opportunities for loads because there's more volume in the van world, right? Now, reefer, you're like, oh, people always got to eat, right? Well, frozen food can be stored in a warehouse. Produce, not so much. And you notice that's on an upward trend, which this time of year it should be. Reefer is doing exactly what it should be and usually does. Same thing with van. It's starting to come up a little bit. Now, is it enough is 208 a mile to 211 a mile, is that enough to save your business if you're hurting? Probably not. However, if that trend continues upward, and you've survived, you're probably in a pretty good position. Something to consider, right? Just how you look at things, your perception. And this is what you get with me. I look at these things and I think, okay, and I don't overthink it either. I'm not sitting there like, I have people that call me and say, "Hey, Steve, so get your crystal ball out. What do you think this? What do you think of that? Da 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 da." And I can speculate. I can sit here and capitalize on the YouTube algorithms of doom and gloom and tell you how crappy everything is. Or I can have my head in the sand and tell you how great everything is. Which people love to hear that. That creates controversy when you sit there and you think, oh man, everything's just peachy, and it's not. And people are struggling. The last thing you want to do is like, the rates are fine. Get over yourself. Work harder. When someone's struggling, that doesn't solve anything. If you're struggling, we need to figure out why. And blaming external, reasons, putting all the blame on it, that's not going to help you. That's the reality, right? That's something that's how I look at things, because I've been in down markets, I've been in up markets, and they both make me nervous. An extremely up high market makes me nervous because I know what's coming on the other side. But also the hope when you have an extremely low market is that it always comes back up. So once you learn how to be even keeled and kind of create your business operation to where it can be pretty steady, except for some black swan event, then I think that you'll be better off. And that's what the big companies have done. That's what Swift and Knight and JB Hunt and Prime, that's what they all do. That's what they all did. You didn't have the CEO of Prime bitching about the spot market when, rates were low back in 2008, 2009, when fuel was $6 a gallon or $5 a gallon. They just got it done. They hired people to do sales. They hired people to do the pencil pushing. They made, you know, they made they implemented measures to insulate themselves from any potential disaster. And that's what you should be doing, regardless of what the market's doing. And those of you bitching about brokers, don't use them. And it's that simple. And so to overthink and analyze all these different, analytics and all these different bits of information, like, I could get Sonar and spend the $6,000 a year for it. None of that does me any good. All it does is reflect what I already know, what I've already figured out, what I'm seeing now. Now the trends that I pay attention to is like, okay, what's happening on overseas shipping? What are the ports doing? What are consumers doing? That's the kind of information you want to pay attention to. But regardless, having all these low boards and all this information does you no good if all you want to do is go from Springfield, Missouri to Columbus, Ohio and back, right? Does you no good other than, wow, it kind of sucks right now because rates are low. Or, wow, I'm doing really good this week. Why? Because rates are up. Shannon was talking about, she went out of her comfort zone. She's always going out of her comfort zone. And, and she makes it work. Why? Because she feels like she has no other choice but to make it work. She wants to build something, but also she's got, a new truck. That new truck needs money. All trucks need money. Hell, my used truck probably is going to need more money than her new truck at this point. But here's the thing. Because of contacts, because of relationships, because of customer service, I was able to score a big pay-in load for her. But she was willing to do the work. That's the thing. I've thrown these loads at other people and nah, I don't want that. Oh, by the way, I'm one breakdown from going out. You know, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed when it comes to, but all this information is no good if you're only going to do what you're only going to do, right? What's your goal? You know, I'm going to do a video about 7 questions that you should ask yourself before you become an owner operator, or 7 questions you should ask yourself if you are an owner operator or a lease op. Doesn't matter. They're one and the same. CN says I emailed you an article last night from Freightwave stating van rates are on the up. Let's take a look at that article, shall we? Let me get your email up here. You guys thought we were going to just look at low board stuff. All right. Thank you, CDN. CDN. If it wasn't for CDN, I don't think I'd have any content. See if I can zoom this in here so I can read this a little bit easier. Yeah, it's not too bad. Let's remove that. Let's remove that. And we'll put that banner up. Let's see here. Present. Share screen. All right. Has freight bubble burst? Truckload spot rates in man are up this summer. Yay. Look at all them trucks waiting in line to do something. It's probably P&G. All right. FreightWave's National Truckload Index, line haul only United States. Look. Little tiny bump right there. Look at that. Truckload spot rates, including estimated fuel costs, are up 13% since early May, with truckload tender volumes up 7% since the start of the year. Though still a shadow of what they were in 2021, is the freight market finally recovering from its post-pandemic hangover, or is this simply a seasonal bump of false hope? Oh, gotta love it. The answer to both questions is yes. They don't want to get on one side or the other, right? The fact that there's any semblance of seasonal movement instead of a continuous downward trend is a sign that the freight market is stabilizing. But it is not definitive evidence that supply and demand have rebalanced. Rates are noisy. Let's see what that means. Spot rates are a culmination of multiple factors. At their simplest, they measure the fair market value for moving a truckload in a given lane. That value tends to increase around the holidays as shippers have narrowing service windows and carrier availability becomes increasingly limited. At times, the simple fact that many people expect rates to become more expensive can inflate the market without capacity actually tightening meaningfully. This occurs due to the lack of transparency, where neither shippers, brokers, nor carriers have complete view of the market. Let me repeat that. Let's repeat this part right here. Neither shippers, brokers, nor carriers have a complete view of the market, meaning they don't have a crystal ball. And we're all just out here guessing. Mark Manson says we're all just out here guessing. Sometimes you just guess better than others, right? Carrier costs are also a component of the rate. While the direct costs, like labor and equipment, are easier to estimate from an outside perspective, the network component, driven by their unique customer footprint, makes them less understandable. For instance, a carrier may have more freight moving out than into a Houston market thanks to a large customer. This leads it to offer rates that are lower than market average or even direct costs into the Houston area so it can win more business and cover its obligations. Losing this account would change the way the carrier prices freight into Houston. This is currently happening on a larger scale in the U.S. As demand patterns have shifted post-pandemic, carrier networks are also in flux. The epicenter of freight boom that was in Southern the epicenter of the freight boom was in Southern California. Carriers price loads moving into this region more cheaply than others to help position their trucks. In other words, what they're saying is when California rates are great coming out, they ain't paying you squat to go in. I'm seeing cross country loads for like 99 cents a dollar mile for full truckloads, 45,000 pounds. There's California. This is the outbound tender market share for Ontario, California. Look at that. Look at this volatility. If anything, I'm not even going to get into these numbers, but look at this volatility, right? Look how jacked up this all is. Ontario, California's outbound market share fell from 4.25% at the beginning of 22 to near 3% at the end of that year, while Atlanta has remained relatively flat and Dallas has grown. Atlanta's been a steadier market for me than anywhere else, to be honest with you. Demand has fallen more sharply out of Southern California than many of the larger and eastern markets, leaving freight contracts underpriced heading out west. Pair that with a relatively low amount of freight moving in that direction, and you get less capacity in the region, exposing it to more price fluctuations, as it's demonstrated here in green. The current spot rate from LA to Dallas, according to FreightWave's TRAC, is $2.15 per mile, up 23% from May. The near-term increase is impressive, but the rates are still well below contract and 20% lower than last year. There is a rebalancing act taking place that is pushing rates back into equilibrium, which I believe is kind of the goal of what all the shippers want. They don't want this. They don't want this. They want predictable rates. I mean, think about this. See, we got a good Amazon ad here. Think about this. Let's say I ship CDs, right? I make CDs and I ship them. And one month it costs $10 a CD to ship. And then another month it costs $1 a CD to ship. Now I'm exaggerating, these aren't real numbers, but how am I supposed to, as a shipper, as a person that's moving these items, how am I supposed to build a business plan off of that? How am I supposed to other than put this insane price for shipping and handling, how am I supposed to combat that? So as a shipper, I would want, hey, just tell me what it would take. It's kind of like a lot of utility companies will do bill pay, like steady bill pay. In other words, instead of having like a really high bill in the wintertime and a really low bill in the summertime, you can equal out to where your bill's the same every month. And I think that's what the goal is. I think that's what the goal of this AI pricing. I think that's what the goal of these brokers. I think that's what the goal of the shippers is that we don't want any more surprises like 22. And definitely not 21, right? There were points where we were making 10 grand in a van to come out of California to go across country. Let that sink in. 10 to 12 grand to come back out. Now you're lucky to get. Now I'm seeing stuff for 7 and 8 now in the reefer world. But getting the reefer to California, that's the trick. National Outbound Tender Volume Index, a measure of shipper requests per truckload contract capacity, has been trending higher since January and is following a semblance of seasonal pattern that existed prior to 2020. Hence the term normalizing, right? Or stabilizing. Comparing 23 to pre-pandemic 2018 purple and 2019 green, that's your chart here. Spring demand came and sustained earlier than usual. Another takeaway is that the market can expect demand to ease to an extent in July without cause for alarm, which I've always seen that historically. July rates tend to kind of level off a little bit. The main takeaway as we close for the first half of 2023 is that the market has found the demand floor and that there's no strong evidence that spot rates will sustain their trend beyond the typical summer seasonality bump. The western regions are tightening, but this will smooth out as pricing aligns. The majority of the bubble has burst, but capacity is still due for a strong correction. In other words, this is kind of cool, but don't get your hopes up too much. Right? That's what they're saying. The Freight Waves chart of the week is a chart selection from Sonar that provides interesting data point to describe the state of the freight markets. A chart is chosen from thousands of potential charts on Sonar to help participants visualize the freight market in real time. Each week, a market expert will post a chart, yada, yada, yada. Sonar aggregates data from hundreds of sources, presenting the data in charts and maps, providing commentary what freight market experts want to know about the industry in real time. The FreightWaves data science and product teams are releasing new data sets each week, enhancing the client experience. Well, it's now it's a Sonar commercial, but you get it, right? Here's the thing: do you have access to all that information? And if so, would it help you? So even people with all the charts, all the information are telling you, hey, we don't know what's going to happen. We just know that this is kind of cool that we've got this bump up, but don't get excited. Be the ability to read something like that and simplify it down to those I don't know, that mentality. I'm not the smartest person, so that's why I got to dumb things down for myself. And so that's what I tried to do. It's like, okay, what they're saying is this is cool. There's a little bit of a bump up, so ask for your more money. You might get it. But don't get excited. This ain't going to save your business. Because the object is they want this to stabilize. Shippers don't want you to go back to $4 and $5 a mile. That's the last thing they want. Brokers want that. You don't want that. Or you want that, but they don't want that. How do you run a down market? The same as you run a good market. You want to be efficient. You want to have good customer service. You want to keep your costs down. And you want to save for a rainy day. So that's how it is. All right. Building materials on its way back up currently. You talk about prices. Okay. That's gonna put a dent in things, right? More ships coming in Tampa. Owner op saying 250K year home daily. I don't know. No, that's no. Swift does our Walmarts. So we already did that. I'm grateful that you do the reading, so I don't have to. Right? Velox, what's up? Good morning. Great live update last night. I missed it. Steve, did you see Big Face Trucker's last video where he lost his contract freight because a mega carrier came in and took all the freight for pennies on the dollar? Yes. I did not see that, but that's a typical story. I have people that call me, hey Steve, I'm in the spot market now. I need you to dispatch me because my normal freight got underbid and now I don't have it anymore. And you're going to start seeing that. Look, here's the thing. These high rates that contracts getting, those are going to come down. Right? Those are going to come down. And that's why it's important to be able to try to insulate as much as you can, mitigate as much risk as possible, because in a second, it's gone. All right. In a second is gone. That was dumb. Sorry. Right? So you take what you can get, make hay while the sun shines, because tomorrow fuel might jump up $1. Tomorrow JB Hunt might come in and say, "Hey man, we only need a penny per mile per truck for profit. So we're going to come in and everything that you were doing for $2.25, we're going to do for $1.80." And our drivers will be loving that, because they have other means of bringing in revenue in. Think about this. Think about this, guys. Let's take a company like Prime. Okay, I'm not picking on Prime, but let's take a company like Prime. Prime has lease operators. Same thing with Schneider, right? The lease operators, okay, pay attention to this. Lease operators are paying for the truck payment. They are paying for the fuel. They are paying for the repairs. The drivers are paying all that. Now, if I could put somebody in my truck and they pay for all that stuff and I make all the money, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Oh, I might pay them so much per mile, but out of that so much per mile, they got to pay for everything. I don't have to worry about a repair because they can pay for it. I don't have to worry about fuel because they pay for it. I don't have to worry about truck payment. So that's why they can come in. That's one of the zillion reasons why they can come in and undercut you. And brokers are undercutting each other. I do a lot of the same stuff with the same brokers and the same shippers and receivers. And I'll give you a perfect example. French's Mustard here in Springfield, McCormick. Been running their freight since, hell, I think my first load was their load ever, driving a truck. And I've watched that freight go in and out of like 10 different brokers, for 1 month, or for 1 quarter, it'll be JB Hunt has all of it. Another quarter, it'll be CH Robinson. Another quarter, it'll be Transplace. Another quarter will be Nolan, and I establish this relationship like, hey, I know this freight. I know how to do this. I know where this is going. I know this customer. I've known this for years. And I give them great customer service, only for another broker like Arrive Logistics to come in and say, no, we'll undercut all of you. And they do it all the time. All these brokers, they undercut each other. Now, the shippers that don't do that are shippers that require excellent customer service. And so it's a little bit easier if you have great customer service skills, whether you're a broker or a driver, to be able to come in and keep your contracts. But at the end of the day, it's all about money, right? Perfect example, Bass Pro Shop here in Springfield. The company I was with, we had the contract to do all their freight from Springfield to Macon. We had all their, which was, Macon's like a DC for them. And we did all their new stores. If they were opening a new store, we were the ones that were bringing stuff to the store. And then we had like 3 or 4 stores that we did. We did 2 up in Kansas City area, and then we did the stores up in Foxborough, and then the store up in Freeville, New York. We did those 2 stores, and we usually got those out of Macon. So if I left Springfield to go to Macon, 9 times out of 10, I was doing Macon to Foxborough, Mass, or to Freeville, New York. That was what we did. Great loads, usually pretty light. They're kind of pressed for time because they don't want their stuff out on the road more than a certain period of time for fear of theft. But Anyways, Werner came in. So what Bass Pro did is like, you know what? Instead of working with 20 trucking companies, we're going to hire one to handle all the logistics. Kind of like Dollar General uses Capstone to handle all the incoming freight. Right? We just want to centralize everything, outsource it. So Werner came in and eliminated all the competition except for one company because Johnny Morris was friends with that dude. And that was RBX. Okay. Now, a lot of this is speculation. So, take this with a grain of salt. But I do know that now we no longer did Bass Pro. Now, during the transition period, I remember going to the Macon, DC, Macon, Georgia, and they were all griping about Werner. They were like, we are not happy with their service. They've already taken out our gate. They don't know where to drop the trailers. You guys have been awesome. I don't know why we're not I don't know why we're not using you anymore. Because that's what Johnny Morris wanted. And Werner was able to come in and underbid all of the companies that tried to bid on this logistics aspect. And you know what? Werner still does it to this day. This was like 10 years ago. It'll be hard for somebody else to come in and take away this contract that Werner has. They didn't care that the trucks were taken out the gate. They didn't care the trucks didn't know where to drop the trailer. It was all about money at the end of the day. And that's something that you have to recognize when it comes to business. I'm very skeptical about the rebound. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'm planning for bad race, but I hope I'm wrong. We'll see. There you go. Make your plans and act accordingly. Retired trucker, what's up? If you guys don't know, Pale Rider, this is Pale Rider. He does live feeds every Friday night. Everybody show up, shows support. Do me a favor, right? Help a brother out. Pigtail, what's up? If rates are really rebound, I'm really surprised this downturn was so short. Downturn's been going for quite a while. James Clark, do you think manufacturers don't include a percentage of cost and transportation of their products? If they didn't allow it, follow that, more manufacturers would be out of business. Right. I mean, that's what part of the inflation situation is, right? Imagine a business from California and one from Florida comparing freight costs. California business in shock. The Florida only pays $1 or $1.50 a mile. California goes home and gets more brokers and pushes rates down. Yeah, I mean, there's that's the game, right? Yo, worry too much, Steve. It's damn trucking, always up and down, just talking in circles, right? Well, I agree with that, Mr. Wilson. I agree. James Clark, manufacturers do build and transport costs, but usually it's a percentage on value of the goods, which tend to be lower than cost to run a truck equals low rates in the market. CN, I have talked to manufacturers and they were not as concerned about transportation costs as to being too high. From what I've been told, they needed their product to market. Now, here's the thing. So, with the shutdowns, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't moving because it wasn't being built, right? So, once it got built, they just had to get it out there. So they didn't care about costs at that point. But now they're starting to tighten their belts and people are buying less because they can't afford it. And so it's all part of the cycle, right? Rates will come up just in time for speed regulators to be implemented, right? Get a little more money per mile only to have to slow down. Question to chat and Steve. In the last 40 hours, have you worked out where you were breathing heavy and sweating? I was doing things that make me breathe heavy and sweat, but wouldn't call that working out. CDN, are you comparing the cost to make a widget to operating a truck? James, you're correct. For some manufacturers, the extra cost for transportation is less than the cost of production going down. If they are stockpiled, pay less. If there's shortage, then pay more. Now that goes to what I just said, right? So a lot of these warehouses are full. And so that's why you're not seeing the normal bumps that we usually do. Like we didn't see one at Christmas last year, right? Mr. Mallard, good morning. So, anyways, let's take a look at some market maps. See what they're looking like this morning. And then I'm probably going to get off here because I think I have a driver that needs to talk to me. And I got to take my pickup to get fixed and possibly get a new office chair. All right. It's ironic. I spent, $1,200 on a new seat in the Kenworth and I'm not in it. All right. There's a hot market. This is all trailers, so let's go to van first. Since Don's in here, we'll take a look at what Missouri van's doing. A lot of green here. West Virginia hates everything. Massachusetts and Delaware, Maryland, I'm sorry. Well, Delaware too, but you're going to struggle to get out of the Northeast. Now, it's green for New York and PA, right? But that doesn't equate to high rates. You know why? Because of all these states. So if you're going to utilize the Northeast market, you got to learn how to do that. There's a method to that. These are always red. Every now and then Washington and Oregon will light up in van, but not much. Arizona's lit up, so let's take a look what's coming in and out of Arizona. San Luis, Arizona to Kewanee, Illinois. That's Chicago, I think. Yeah. Well, maybe not. It's not in the middle of nowhere. Picks up at 9 a.m. today. Delivers Wednesday on the 13th. No posted rate. These rates have gone anywhere from 34 to 46. That's quite a bit of spread there. Not too bad on the credit. It's Dart. Let's see. Tallest in Arizona to Fresno, California. It's a shorty. Probably not going to get much on this one. $1.68 miles the norm. $2.20 on the cargo chief. That's Pepsi Logistics. Not everybody can run with them because they have different insurance qualifications. Phoenix to Sumner. Let's see what those rates look like. A lot of mountains. This picks up the 15th of July. And these van rates are anywhere from $259 to $255. That's a good paying lane. But when you look at the return, it's going to be a lot lower. Unless you go short inside Washington there. There's really not much there, as you can see. All right. So now that's outbound. Let's look at inbound. So let's filter us the rate. Right. $1.94, $1.81 coming out of Arizona, but let's look at inbound. $1.56, $1.42, $1.73. So what they've done is they know that you're getting some money coming out of Arizona, so they've lowered the market going into Arizona. Illinois to Arizona usually historically is paid way more than $1.82 a mile. Here we go. Hope, Arkansas to Tolleson, 220 miles. So that's more on par. That's way more higher than what's usually going on. So let's take a look at this load. Their posted rate at 27, which is around where Cargo Chief's at. So this doesn't pick up till Friday. Or no, next Monday. So it's either going to be a drop trailer or it's going to be multiple stop, I imagine. But that would be a good paying load if it truly is on those without any of those drop trailer loads. Tick me off. I don't do them. Here we go. $2 to go from Oklahoma to Arizona. So let's take a look at Missouri for Don here. See where most of the freight's coming out. West Plains, Fredericktown, Branson. These Branson loads, this is charcoal. Kansas City to Wisconsin. Here we go, 218 a mile. Here's a load done. Picks up today at 11 a.m. First stop in Oak Creek. Second stop is Shawano. Don't you want to know where at Wisconsin? Bad joke, I know. Sorry. It's up. It's up a little bit, so that's good. So I'm seeing that trend. I'm seeing some rates come up a little bit. Kansas City, Aurora, Colorado. Let's take a look at that. It's about 600 miles. So this is a one, you can essentially get to Kansas City to Aurora in one day. And so if you can get them at 1,800 to 2,000, then take your hit coming out. Back to Kansas City, you can get $1.30. So if you make $3 to go in and $2 to come, or $1.30 to come out, your overall rate per mile is not bad. Your rate per day is going to be pretty good as well. But only if you do it smart. Let's see. Owensville, Sykeston, Chillicothe, Springfield. Here, let's see what load I could do if I wanted to run today. Springfield, Missouri to West Palm Beach, Florida. A little far south for my comfort. They're at 2,800. Picks up today. So a lot of loads picking up today. In fact, let's sort outbound by age. Pickup date. Let's do it by pickup date. See how many last minute loads we got. Branson, Bridgeton, Brookfield, Carthage, Chillicothe, Columbia, Ellisnore. A lot of stuff for today. Look at that. Now, if this was all showing tomorrow, then there's a problem, right? You should have booked ahead. But I've noticed that it's a little bit better if you can handle the stress of booking day of. I've noticed this, especially with Uber Freight. Some other brokers. A lot of stuff today. Wow. There you go. All right, let's take a look at Reefer. And then I'll get back to the comments. I got 52 of you in here. I appreciate that. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Help my algorithms. All right, so Reefer, we got Idaho and Washington have lit up. That's all produce. Let's take a look at what's coming out of Idaho. Let's sort this by rate. $6,000 to go to Florida. Now remember, on that chart on DAT trend lines, remember, rates were going up a little bit. So this is probably going to be, you can't go by these averages completely. What drives these rates down is normally coming out of Idaho, you're taking a hit anyways, right? So they're not going to price it like you're coming out of Illinois to go to Idaho. So let's take a look at inbound Idaho. Now notice New Jersey to Boise, $1.40 a mile for a reefer load. But then out of Texas, you got $2.59 a mile, 3,600. You can make more. You can make only $100 less at 1,300 miles versus 2,600 miles. And what I look for here is if I need to get to Idaho, where's the state do I need to be that will make me some money going in Idaho? Well, it looks like Texas is not doing too bad, right? Hardly anything below 250, except if it's coming out of the Northeast and it's Schramm Logistics. So think about this. SRAM is much, much lower than everybody else, right? Coming out of New York, right? Obviously, though, they've got that freight, though, right? They got that freight. And obviously, they know how to cut their rates. So they've probably been able to either they've got a well-established customer relationship and they're able to move this with their carrier network, or they've undercut everybody and now they're scrambling to move these loads. These are just assumptions. I don't know what I'm talking about, so take everything with a grain of salt. So, all right, let's take a look at flatbed. We're going to do flatbed only. No step deck. All right, California, Oregon, of course. You know, the West doesn't do too bad. Midwest struggles a little bit. Let's take a look at Minnesota. $1.60. Here's one. 301 a mile to go into Colorado. A lot of stuff going to the southeast, which you can do well. Here's the thing with running the southeast and flatbed though. You got to be able to have lumber tarps. That will help. And then you're going to be pulling 48,000 pounds for the most part, but there's definitely money to be made in the southeast there in the flatbed market. You have machinery tends to be up in the Midwest. Let's take a look at this Minneapolis to Akron, Ohio. Still not a bad day's run. It's only no, it's 2 days, I guess. 752 miles, 1540 on the rate, 205 a mile. That is not a good 1 day run. Shingles tend to be 48,000 pounds. And look, Faribault, Minnesota, East Point, Georgia. They got $1.34 on this. Let's see if it's a partial. Nope, it's lumber, 48,000 pounds. Now, why are they pricing it so low to go down the southeast? Because they know you're going to have oodles of freight coming out of there. And look at that. There's 300 loads coming out of East Point, Georgia to anywhere. And they're good rates. Floodwood, Minnesota to Sterling, North Dakota, but good luck getting out of there. $3.53 a mile, $1,300 for the. How long's that trip? You know, that's a 1 day run. A lot of this, look at $1.17, $1.17, $1.13. This is flatbed freight. So they're driving these rates down unless you want to go to somewhere, dead. Now, here's the trick though. If you can get a load that goes from Minnesota to South Dakota for good money, but then you have a contact in South or North Dakota to come out, then you can make some consistent money, right? But that requires some work, that requires some sales, that requires being a people person and talk to people and know your markets. That's what that requires. That Wisconsin load is very interesting. Making me thankful I didn't reduce my rate for the dedicated run. Day of is the plan tomorrow, boss. Deliver at 9 a.m. in Kansas City. Okay. All right, so let's go back. CDN, I do have customers that are distributors that get manufacturer will only pay percentage on value of goods towards freight cost. Each manufacturer is different. Some pay better than others. Who are you speaking of? The manufacturers or the brokers? Since the cost is a percentage of the transportation, that is a fixed cost, or am I mistaken? And then James Clark says, from the manufacturer perspective, I might be misunderstanding you. Who has a fixed transport cost unless they have their own trucks or on a long-term contract fixed? Not sure how. So there's a lot to understand. There's a lot to digest in this world, right? Let's take a look at flatbed in Texas. Decatur, Texas to Spokane, Washington, $6,000. Let's take a look at this one. Picks up today at noon, and they're way above. So let's see what's going on with this. 10 feet wide. So been seeing a lot of oversize hitting the flatbed boards. You got to look at permits and everything else. Here's Laredo to Rosendale, New York. 3 extra stops. And they're still below what these usually are paying. Recreational vehicles. In other words, trailers or RVs, or not RVs, 4x4s. All right. Now, when I look at these rates, I'm not really concentrating on the rate per mile. I'm looking at rate per day. Like this Mount Pleasant to Blythe, California, $281 a mile. But you're looking at 2.5 hard days running. And so 38 divided by 2. Especially if you can throw a shorty in on the other side of that. That doesn't pick up till Monday at 7 a.m. Delivers Wednesday, right? Yeah, 9 a.m. So that's some hard running right there. But sometimes the harder you run, the more money you can make. Let's see. Sometimes just sitting is the worst thing that you can do. All right, enough of this. Good morning from Wildwood, Florida. Restocking the truck, getting ready to run. Speaking of runners, there you go. All right, trucking with T-Bone. Good morning. I saw that you're messing with golf carts now. That's neat. I would just keep it all on one channel. Be a jack of all trades on the YouTube. That's what I try to do. Sterling has been watching. I've been sending him some of my old GoPro vlogs. Guys, I am a truck driver. Maybe not as much now as I used to be, but go back to some of my older videos and look how overweight I was, and look at me, mix music and show them what I was doing throughout my day. Go back and watch those old videos. I enjoy doing them. They don't have a whole lot of views, but go back and watch them. Binge watch that, and then if you go to Snorelord OG, that channel's got, you can see a 15 years younger, non-bearded Snorelord messing around with everything. So, and you can see some of my music. So with that being said, thanks for watching. 48065 on the 123 low board. If you 123lowboard.com, 48065 is the code. You get 30 days for free and $35 a month after that, which is $10 off the premium. Also, thank you for the support for the channel. Thank you for giving me the thumbs up if you so desire. If you don't like this video, give me a thumbs down twice. That'll teach me a lesson. And anyways, that's it, man. So we'll see you probably Wednesday morning, unless crap's hitting the fan and I'm in the truck or whatever. So with that being said, thanks for watching. Strength for today, hope for tomorrow, and aggression turns to screws. Later.